Cool.
All good things.
All good things.
You do you, boo boo. Ooh, I was gonna start having a conversation already. Ooh, that's where I'm at. Welcome back to Testing Normal. I'm Jordan.
And this is Curtis.
Coming at you, episode
26.
Big 26. And what guest do we have tonight?
We have
look at
the
that.
pleasure,
Guys.
nay, the honor of having ourselves on tonight.
Yep.
Jordan Curtis. Bring it real. Bring it to you.
Old school, and I say old school in the sense of it was 6 months ago, just us, and we decided to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So
we
skipped
we
one
did
week.
Did we do like 10 episodes, just us, maybe, I think.
I
Maybe
think the
like
10th
5.
episode maybe was our first guest or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
that. Mostly we just wanted to make sure we weren't too bad at this, and maybe we still are. Maybe we're just, faking ourselves out. But if that's the case, there's a
little
lot
better
of
maybe
content on
each
YouTube
time.
that you could go watch.
Yeah.
I mean, people watch PewDiePie, and he's so popular. If someone
PewDiePie.
claps, they're like,
What is
"Next
it?
meme."
Stop if... What was that? The phrase that you're supposed to say from him?
Oh shoot, my kids are gonna kill me.
Stop if you... Or...
Oh, what did I say? Oh yeah, what?
Reboot?
Like that?
Yeah, what? And then what are they
And
supposed to say?
Yeah, they say, "You've never played Tuber Simulator." It's a PewDiePie
Like,
ad, which is really funny because I sent my son a meme this week, and it was like a whole bunch of different things, and then at the end it was PewDiePie forgot his own commercial, and he totally did. If you go watch it, it's like could be on his own cringe series of him completely bombing on forgetting what his game is, what he's even, and it's his own thing. It's not like he forgot someone else's product. He forgot his own product that makes money, and he's like, I don't know it. And there's like 9.2 billion 9-year-olds at home that are already quoting it and know it better than he does.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I would say, have you watched any of his videos?
Let's pull up a couple. Let's see.
We should get him on.
Dude, there's no way you could get copyright on him.
Oh yeah, right. Whatever.
Come on.
No, someone's got to.
No, but tell me, what is the appeal? What is it that
I don't know.
appeals to people from this guy?
I look at it and I
just
go,
so everybody knows, PewDiePie is a
big time
Instagram/YouTuber.
He's
dude.
not on. Is he on Instagram?
I don't know.
think he is.
Honestly,
He's got
I
his
have no
own
idea.
subreddit. You can go to PewDiePie, whatever.
But he has I think 100 million followers.
He's just shy of 100 million followers using that battle between him and T-Series and
who nobody even knows
whoever.
who T-Series is.
No, they're from India and it's a conglomerate and they've cheated a bunch of people out of money and they're not a good company. And
Well, how do they have so many followers if they're just a random company?
because they're just the entire country of India followed him and that's more than he has already.
Why would the entire country of India follow him?
Because they're a music company, so they produce music, but they're like somebody who's been kind of not very nice to their artists that they most music labels these days.
Interesting.
This is so I went on a guest on a podcast that I would hope would come back soon. That Jeff, our good friend that does our intro music and stuff, used to do, and I hope they still record. I've heard there's some recordings sitting out there they haven't posted yet, and it is called Pretty Neat Pod. I've been on this podcast.
Yeah.
It was the first podcast I've been on.
Mm-hmm.
And your
Podcast
chewing
Cherry.
reminded me of a segment that they did, and it's called Snackcast. And so it's a show within a show, I think is what they call it.
That's
so
hilarious.
they'll have a segment. It's like a show within a show. Welcome to Snackcast. Today brought to you by Kettles Chips. What we're eating is salt and pepper and a little bit of coconut oil, and that's what you hear coming through your ears right now. A little horrible ASMR.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, Snackcast. So you would be encouraged to bring snacks that are loud and obtrusive to the microphone.
That'd
And
be
then
awesome.
the
Bring
first
some
person-
great nuts.
Yeah,
Great
and they
nuts.
do a lot of editing. So for those of you that don't know, we have never.
Yeah, we don't edit.
We've never edited out because
Anything.
most time we go live. So
Yeah.
you get what you get, and I guess
That's what you
something-
get.
I guess something like really bad happened, like say. Curtis got a little inebriated beforehand and went a little bananas and attacked me. We might take that down, although we might leave it up too and make it into little clips and try to make money off of it and build our own weird.
Make money off our sorrow.
Yeah, our sorrow and dying friendship. Like, why did you attack me with the microphone? I just didn't like what you said. That was the whole point of the podcast. Don't get upset about other people's views.
But all that to be said, this conversation started off of what question?
There was no question.
There was no question.
We just came straight into it.
Dude, So some crazy stuff.
Maybe there was. Someone's listening to 10 minutes ago and going, "Are you kidding me? I want to know what you were talking about."
Dude, I want to tell you about this situation that I read about in the news.
Okay.
And it was about a cop that had purchased a hamburger from, was it McDonald's or Burger King?
This is your article.
Oh, man. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it was McDonald's. Bought a burger from McDonald's, and he went to his job, put his burger in the fridge, and then spent like 7 hours doing his job. Came back, opened the fridge, and there was a bite out of the burger. And
that's like, how long it was?
Yeah, that's how long it was.
I got like this far into the article, and
so
I just imagine him having like sat at the table at the McDonald's and then like looked down. He's like, "Who took a bite out of my burger?" And that would have been a much better story.
Yeah,
but 7 hours.
Giving him more credit.
Yeah.
So 7 hours later, he goes to his fridge, opens it, pulls out the hamburger, and
which can I say?
It has a bite out of it.
A 7-hour-old burger from McDonald's that's refrigerated.
Right.
They don't hold their shelf life.
He goes, looks at his burger and says, "This isn't right. One of those punks from McDonald's took a bite because I'm a cop." So then he drives back
what if
to
the bite
McDonald's.
was right out of the middle, so it made it look like a donut?
Right. He drives back to McDonald's. McDonald's manager says, "We're so sorry. We'll look into this and see who was working that day." And then the cops, I don't want free food. I just want you to fix this and talk to the person that this happened to. And so he gets back to he goes back to the station, and he somehow recalls or remembers that he actually did take a bite of the burger before he got to the station. And so then there's like this whole thing how McDonald's, he has to apologize. The police department has to apologize.
What? So the police department got involved too?
Because they represent him. So I think there was like
they represented his burger theft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh! I wonder if he filed paperwork for that.
So the burger thief from like the old
Hamburglar.
Hamburglar. That's what it was. Was that Burger King or McDonald's?
Yeah, it was McDonald's.
McDonald's had the most legit toys growing up, man.
They did. So,
I remember being so pumped about those toys.
But did you know that Grimace looked way different before?
Which one was Grimace?
He was something monster, and he had like 6 arms. Grimace is the purple pear-shaped dude.
Yeah.
It's like Barney, but without the dinosaur head.
Right.
Yeah, he used to have like 6 arms back in the day.
Whoa.
And then he has like 2 because kids were too scared of him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll bring up a picture. So anyway, the police station got involved. That's bananas.
Yeah, but they had to do this whole formal apology and everything. It was really silly. Really silly.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, so tell me about there was one other article right below that we talked about right before we went live.
Oh, skyscrapers?
Yeah, so glass skyscrapers.
Yeah.
That was in where?
The Guardian.
It was in The Guardian, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, it's not a specific location. It's just a bunch of leading architects and engineers are calling for all glass skyscrapers to be banned because they're too difficult and expensive to cool. And so they're saying, if we're building a greenhouse in a climate emergency, it's a pretty odd thing to do, basically, is what they're saying.
Yeah, it is.
And so they're like, all of these architects and engineers are pushing to try to eliminate basically like greenhouses that are making everything even hotter, and then AC units that are, I guess, using more fuels.
Okay. The original Grimace. Any ideas on what he looks like? He apparently, so there's the Hamburglar. Grimace, it appears, was known to have stolen the milkshakes. So there's a Hamburglar, and then there's Grimace that steals milkshakes.
Okay. Let me see his picture.
Okay, here we go.
Excited to see this. Go and pull that up for me, Jamie.
Yeah, I'll kill you. That's not the right thing. That's our notes. Apparently our iPad's not pulling up now. That's fun. Guys, we've had all kinds of technical difficulties today.
Yeah, our Wheel sprockets keep going loose.
Yeah,
first
something
of all.
like that.
And then the flux capacitor, I've had to adjust that at least
capacitor. It's not even
4 or 5 times.
You made
the
make-believe of a
capacitor.
make-believe item.
Capacitor.
I think what happened is the YouTube tubes are getting messed up, and also Curtis went into his crawl space and threw his router under a rug.
Yes.
And that was causing us a little bit of difficulties in the beginning. So we're late, and some things didn't get hooked up, like my iPad. So
That's okay. That's right.
anyway, what were we talking about for that?
I was telling you how the glass.
Oh yeah, the glass skyscrapers. So I thought it was in a certain location, or was it just students?
No, it wasn't just students. It was like leading.
Oh, so they're saying like
architects
going
and
forward,
engineers.
let's get. What would be the alternative? Did they say? Like,
Well, using more like insulated,
but you got to
like
see.
concrete, or with more like whatever carbon or fibers or whatever they're using, steel instead of glass, because it doesn't insulate as well.
But what about windows? I mean, you got to see out.
You have to have some, but if the entire building is glass, that's going to
True.
take on way more heat faster.
It just seems like it'd be a waste of view. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Do you want to live on this earth, or do you want to have less of a view?
I don't know, man. How long am I going to live? Is it going to affect me? You sometimes think that's what is going on there. I do. Like people that want to kind of ignore climate stuff.
What about them?
Like it's like they almost like, well, it's not going to affect me. If it doesn't happen the next 50 years, then I probably don't have to worry about it. Or they're like, I was reading, I got sucked into
went deep in the rabbit hole.
Thread of Reddit where they were going back and forth. It was an article I have, and I'll pull it up once I can pull it up. A scientist was recently fired from that worked for the government. It was a climate scientist, and she was like basically pushed round and round and round and round with this article that she was coming out with details on climate change and our kind of contribution to that arena. And they kept making her want to change it, and she wouldn't change it, and they published it, and then all of her area, which was really, really well funded, all of a sudden lost funding, and she was asked to leave.
What?
And she couldn't come back and like work on the stuff that she was working on. And all this stuff. And so I was looking through I was like, there could be
deep state, man.
Someone could read that article. It was a piece by her, like it was written by her, and someone could read that and go, okay, yeah, that's exactly what's happened. But then you have to, like, in my mind, I weigh it. You have to weigh it and be like, okay, so how much of that could be BS? But I think that so many people are unwilling to come out of either one of those and look at the information from the other side. So there was a guy that posted in the links, he posted some information to a bunch of stuff that I didn't read all of it at all, but it was just like evidence towards the fact that we haven't changed climate. We don't have any part to really play in it. We've actually gained ice. There's been no temperature rises and all that kind of stuff. And people are, the sky is flying, the sky is falling. I think it's just somewhere in between. I don't know. It's very...
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually have just like a way to know absolutely what is completely going on.
Right.
Because it's, unless you're an intellect that has studied meteorology, meteorologist, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you would have...
It was a climatologist is what it would be.
Most of them will not have... Most of us common folk would not really be able to understand or know what's going on.
Right. This is
You got that
kind of a blurry picture. I hope it pulls up.
You got that purple blob?
Yeah, look at that thing.
Whoa.
So it's got like 4 arms and 2 legs, and it steals milkshakes. That's the original Grimace, next to the pear one with 2 arms.
That's a creepy toy.
Yeah, and it was because it scared kids too much. Like they were like, we scared too many kids, so they stopped. And now we don't have the Grimace we had then. Do you remember the hamburger toy at McDonald's you could climb up in? It was like a metal tube, and you climbed up inside the hamburger. No?
Maybe it's like in the farthest recesses of my mind. There's a
there was one here
little spark
in town, not the town we're in, but in Salem, and there was a hamburger you could crawl up in, and the toy made no sense. That you could get into it, and then you had to wait for 1,000 kids to get in before you could go about the tube, because there was only one way in, and the only other way out was like this one little hole in the thing, and you have to drop like 4 feet out of the toy. So it was like it was a very pointless toy that was just, they could say that they made a hamburger toy.
Yeah, that they've been in a hamburger maybe.
Yeah. You know what I miss though? As disgusting as they were, I always loved the ball pit.
Ooh, I loved those too, and I had zero concept of how much
gross
I mean,
it is
germs are spread from that cyst pool.
Yes. Cesspool.
Okay. The amount of crap that's in there is just
so
crazy.
Something that you had actually, and I'm going back a week here, but there was something that you actually started. I don't know if you started to talk about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't. No. See. Oh, it was. It started with the involuntary sterilization. That is a segue of all segues to go from what we were talking about to involuntary sterilization. So there's
a
this
deep one, man.
So I'll give a lead in as to why you even brought it up, because I actually was like, oh, did you bring that up because of?
Yeah, that's a crazy.
And
one.
There's a really good podcast, and I don't know if it.
They talk about it in this podcast.
Yeah. They talk about that podcast, but I'm just saying, like, I've heard mixed reviews on some of the.
I do have some thoughts
that they talk about.
I'm ready to say about that.
Okay. But the podcast is Radiolab, and I just say that with a caveat of I may or may not, and Curtis may or may not agree with everything there. So do your research. Do your own research.
Yeah. Do you
DYOR.
you do you. But they bring up a lot of interesting things
that
are good to look into.
And so there's a series going on right now, and the latest one that just came out, it's in a series they called G for General Intelligence. And they get to a point where they start to talk about, and they go off in like a lot of different tangents for each episode. But the one that I was thinking of is the eugenics one. And that's in that episode is when sterilization came up.
Right.
And so in there, they had a few different people that were on the show, and they were at varying mental capacities. And it is, in some states, it is still legal to involuntary sterilize someone so that they may not reproduce for fear that they would have another kid like that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because if you start to sterilize people, then the question is who decides where that line is where you don't become sterilized?
Yeah.
And that line, it seems, could be pushed and pulled in significant directions that could be really scary.
Yeah.
Depending on time. And so that's why I'm kind of I that's my like side of like I don't really like that idea.
Right.
There's probably other reasons why people wouldn't like it, but and then the other end of it though.
Probably countless.
Yeah. Yeah. The other end of it though, I mean, I see like if I had, a child that was severely severe Downs or maybe a little MR and
right.
Maybe severely autistic or something all combined, and somehow he was in love with this girl who also had a similar syndrome.
Right.
Would they be able to take care of their children? And most likely in that situation, I don't think they would.
No. And
so then basically if that person isn't able to comprehend that, then the person that's in charge, maybe responsible and in charge, like helping them, should be the one, because then they're deciding basically, am I going to have a kid?
Yeah.
Like the people that are watching them.
That's hard.
Caring for them.
It's funny because I know that a lot of people will be like, why on earth? Both sides of this, because it tends to be that people land hard on one side or the other of an issue. And I think on some issues it's pretty easy to do, and you're going to be fine. But with something like this, it was interesting to me, and a lot of the stories were sad. There was the one example of the person that woke up and realized that they had been sterilized. And that was like that they knew that and that they were forced to do it was a hard story to hear.
Right.
But that there are some reasons, and it is interesting. I wonder, because I think it goes on in that same episode. It's the guy that's figured out like how they could almost get the IQ scores, like they could guess on them.
It's so crazy.
With gene testing beforehand. And so they were like, yeah, we could pick out. And he was like, did you catch that whole did you listen to their I can neither confirm nor not deny episode about the history of that?
Yeah.
So he kind of uses that same deal on them. They're like, have you done this on humans yet for anyone? And he said, I can't say either direction.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
I know, right?
That doesn't give away anything, but it gives away
basically
a lot.
There's superhumans already out there.
And so,
and believe it or not, probably China has 90% of them.
some people might be like, well, how does the sterilization get into that? Well, that's what sterilization is trying to do. It's part of trying to,
just from another angle,
to create more healthy of a society, whether or not
by environment. Right.
Yeah. And I see the
it's
fear.
it's kind of manufactured evolution.
Yes. And that's what's interesting. But how much do we reverse evolution? Like, it's not reversing evolution. Neither one of them is. It's reverse survival of the fittest.
Or maybe how do we devolve?
Yeah, but it's reverse survival of the fittest.
Right.
You're taking away the predator. So
that's a great point. Like, and what ramifications does that have on the natural?
Right. And so then
progression of things?
Are we, because
Are we doomed?
because that's an animal term.
Bro.
Like, we're not animals. Like,
right.
So that's, and I'm not saying
so let me just
my
say this,
point on any of that.
Let me bring this up real quick. Let me just shoot this in at you real quick.
Do it. Welcome to the segment in the show where we make different gun sounds.
This is a laser. Pew, pew.
I'm going to shoot this at you.
Okay, but what were we talking about?
Eugenics, survival of the fittest.
Eugenics.
Letting the weak ones live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
specifically in the metaphor of the
animals. Are we having some type of genetic de-evolution or kind of, what's it called? Maybe not. It's weakening of our genetic DNA as we're passing down through generations because we are keeping alive a lot of people that have like severe genetic defects and severe genetic predispositions to passing on things that would be difficult for their children's children.
Right.
And so if that's increasing, then are we as a population developing more of these not side effects but these defects?
Yeah, I think it would take a lot to
also is that
dilute the DNA now. I don't know. I'm totally just shooting the dark.
I don't know.
I would say I was thinking about it as I was listening to all this, like the amount of if you count like the disabilities that we saw as kids, a lot of those I don't see as much anymore. Like,
I feel like I see way more diseases now than
diseases. Yes, but I'm talking about specifically a mental disorder. Like if you want to take not mental disorder, but I don't remember what the term was that they use now. That's like the kosher PC term. But like I don't see, at least, and maybe it's just my perception of the world, I don't see as many Downs as I used to. I don't feel like. I feel like it was more common in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, maybe not as much Downs, but I feel like we see
way
something more.
But that's something that they screen for now and will tell you this baby has a predisposition to Downs.
So maybe we have.
Yeah,
that's
and so
interesting.
that gets into a whole other
that's
topic.
But I feel like we've seen way more autism.
Yes,
way more.
But as we've talked about,
more.
like some of the things that they're actually finding, some of the correlations with now would make sense that we've ramped up use in those, and so we're just getting harmed in another way.
That's interesting.
And then I listened to a guy was talking about how we cordon off these autistic people, and he said I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that if we let them run some of the things that we do, a lot of people would be out of a job and they wouldn't have the authority they do because they're so smart in different areas. And so,
but they just couldn't get to the job.
But they can't get there because we medicate them and tell them there's something wrong with them, and we don't put them in the education programs that allow them to learn better, and so they are expected to learn with everyone else, and so they never do, and because of that, those people never get that authority taken away from them. So that's one theory, that it's just kind of a balance of power. Like, I have a son who was diagnosed with autism, and I love him. You know him, and he's super
awesome.
super unique, but really smart in some areas that it's like, I don't know how you just did that. Like, that's amazing. Somehow you should harness that. And so, my wife and I will talk and be like, it's hard to say there's something quote unquote wrong with someone. But
he's also like comparatively, he's extremely high functioning.
Yeah. True. Yeah, and there's varying degrees of that.
And varying degrees of that for sure. Obviously, it presents its own challenges that you guys have worked through so well together with him, and that's really amazing.
My wife's been amazing at that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I butt heads with the idea, but yeah, if I'm being really honest.
Well, from what I see though, it seems like you guys have really done like incredible, and he's also like such a cool kid to talk to.
Yeah.
Like his conversations are so kind of out of the box.
Yes.
And it really kind of makes a conversation enjoyable because he's connecting things that you could never have connected
Yes.
in that conversation. And it's like, oh, that actually I wasn't thinking about that, but let's talk about that. Like,
Yeah.
how did you think about that thought?
Yeah,
so it's
he's really
enjoyable.
obsessed with like making people laugh, and
He's good at finding the ways to
it
connect
sometimes
us to
gets
do
us into some odd social situations where people don't understand how
But his comedy
a
is
12-year-old boy, just put ketchup on their baby.
yes. Okay.
So-
You gotta tell that story, dude. So good.
So we're at some friend's house.
Cracked
and-
me up. I was crying.
and I will leave names out and all that. And as much as I can, the emotions of the parents. Although I believe the mom was laughing very hard.
It was so.
But
So
Michael
funny.
doesn't know any. He's trying to make people laugh, and our friend is sitting there, and he has this brand new baby. It's months old, and he looks down, and he goes, "Why is there food on my baby?" And then he looks over, and my 12-year-old son is sitting there whispering, "Simba," from The Lion King. Like the.
That's like literally. It should be a Netflix.
It's
skit.
hilarious.
It should be a Netflix.
But I
skit.
understand as first-time parents.
Okay, dude, we need to. You know how they have like people telling stories, and then like you see the cartoon of it like unfolding.
Animate that.
We have to animate that, dude. Jordan, okay, we should go into a business
Where we animate our
where
ideas.
we animate stories that are really hilarious that we hear or we experience.
But neither one of us draw or are animators.
I just feel like we
I
can
feel like
figure that out.
I
bro.
feel like there's a big chunk of this business missing. I'm colorblind.
I'll tell you the colors and you draw it.
Yeah, that works out well.
Okay, well, I feel like
It would all
I feel
look
like there
like
has to be
our,
an animator
our
out
face
there.
swaps.
Listen, there has to be an animator out there that is really wanting to take on this journey with us and
for
we will-
free.
but no. Like eventually, we'll give you part of the proceeds. From
We'll definitely
sponsors.
make a lot of money on Vine.
and
Been canceled or
Yes.
deleted.
and we'll have adventures with this. We'll make it like we'll make this happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
so
was
that's a
the
great
one
idea.
the garden gnome idea? The I can't remember. Metronome.
Yeah, the
So
metronome.
So the gnome dressed like a metrosexual. Yes, and he would be a metronome. He'd put him on someone's piano just to really weird him out.
Did you come up with that joke or did I?
I did.
Okay.
It wasn't you.
You sure?
Yeah, I promise.
I feel like maybe we both did that.
I feel like maybe I did, and the mayor of Almsville tried to steal my idea.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
it was an amazing idea too. Okay, so the whole reverse survival of the fittest and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how I feel. I do know how I feel on that. I'm really scared by people controlling other people's bodies. That's what I'm really scared of, especially governments, because the only ones that have done that didn't really have the greatest of track records or situations.
But they're still around. And those countries are doing
They're-
actually prospering better than any country right now.
So you're saying we should do some horrible things so we can do better in 50 years?
I'm just saying, isn't that kind of a trip? Like the country that like
is.
did some of the most atrocious things and did it 2 world wars in a row,
Yeah.
is now what 70 years later.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a real fear though, because some of that stuff they started
like
out
doing some of the
they-
best
They started out slow with, and then it just went.
industrial wise and
No, I mean like with the eugenics stuff. Like it started out slow, so nobody questioned
Oh,
it,
okay.
and then all of a sudden, they're just dumping bodies into a giant hole. Like that. Like it went pretty quick from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour.
that's interesting. Yeah.
But it like kind of small distractions, and here we are. Like, or just keeping people in the dark about things. But yeah, it scares me. Another episode. Did I send you the one called BitFlip? I was talking to my brother-in-law about this today because he's into computers too, and we've been working on nerdy computer stuff all weekend. And this episode talks about, there's a joke that kind of goes around, and every once in a while I'll throw it out there. It's kind of an old one. It's like, what's wrong with my computer? And you try to help someone and it doesn't work. I'm like, well, now it's working. Well, what did it? It's just like, well, solar flares or something like that. Well, the idea behind this BitFlip is there was a country, small area in a country that was doing voting, and they voted and they looked at the tally and they said, uh-oh, like well, what's wrong? I said, well, there's more votes than people.
Oh no.
And they were like, well, what did it? Like, I don't know. So they retallied through the same computer, and they got a different number. But the number it was off was very unique in that it was 4,096.
Dude, I've heard this. Yeah, I watched. There's a video about this.
Yeah. So I listened to
This
the
is
whole
amazing.
hour-long podcast. So the 4,096 is I believe it's the 13th bit. It's 12th or 13th bit is 2 to the 10th or 2 to the 12th or something like that.
Maybe it was a podcast I listened to.
And so it was a bit got flipped in the counter for computers. So the way the computer stores how it counts is not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would take up too much space. So it stores numbers in powers of 2. So 2 to the 0 doesn't make any sense to the math people out there. It's going to make you angry like it makes me angry. 2 to the 0 is always 1. 2 to the 1 is 2. 2 to the 2 is 4. And so when it counts,
It doubles it.
it's going to the powers of. So
Okay.
2 to the 2 is 4. 2 to the 3
How
is
does it get
8.
points?
What's that?
How does it get like?
So like 1, and then another tally comes in, and it flips that bit off, and the next bit on, and it's 2 to the 1, so it's 2.
But how do you get like point stuff, like 0.5? Can you do like half of a bit?
I don't. In this case, no. It's a 1-to-1. I'm sure there is a way to do it, but this is the simplified method. I understand what you're saying. Yes, there's ways to do it, but obviously, anyway, it works the other direction. So, one of these bits got flipped in the middle of a vote, and so all of a sudden, one of the candidates went up 4,096 votes because a bit got flipped, and they're like, well, what flipped the bit?
Right, I know what it was.
And so they traced it
It's crazy.
down to a cosmic ray.
Yep.
And you can build a cloud chamber, and you can see these darn little things, and there's trillions of them that fly through our planet every single day. They don't stop for hardly anything, and they zip on right through ceilings, walls, metal, concrete, all that kind of stuff, and you can see the particles zip through a glass.
How did you do that?
So you will have to Google it to know exactly, but I think it was my brother-in-law too that pulled one up, and it was just you like cool a plate, and then you put some dry ice in it, and you create a cloud inside a cup upside
That
down.
slows it down.
And after about an hour, you can see the vapor being distorted by the cosmic rays that come through, and there are very, very tiny particles that are just shot through the cosmos. One of those that was charged hit the bit and flipped it.
That's insane.
So they took that to their,
But how did they find out?
Congress or whatever it is for
How
them.
did they find out that's what flipped it?
Well, that's the only thing it could have been. They checked software, they checked everything. They're like, this could be it. It happens. So they took it to these lawmakers, and they laughed at them, and they said, yes. They said, well, why does that matter? They said, well, how many votes have been off that we didn't know?
Ooh.
And they were like, oh, no. Okay, figure this out. So they put this thing in an accelerator with particles and recreated bits flipping on their own.
What?
Yeah, like pelted this thing
Whoa.
with particles and proved that they could flip the bits and that these particles would be doing that.
Wow.
So it goes on. It gets worse.
This is an insane story.
There are instances of, and there's some people out there like, oh my gosh, I'm scared of driving. I'm scared of flying. Stop listening for the next 30 seconds. Because there are on record planes that have had the autopilot turned off, and all of a sudden they're plummeting 1,000 feet, and the pilots are having to recover because
What?
the wrong bit got flipped. The higher the elevation you are, the closer you are, and the
Oh my God.
less displacement there's between you and these cosmic rays coming through our atmosphere and everything. So you're at higher risk the higher altitude you go. So these things fly up. Planes have it happen constantly. It just doesn't show itself unless the right bit flips.
Okay, let's talk about cosmic rays real quick.
'Kay.
So you're saying like solar ray, right?
That was the joke with solar ray, but these are cosmic particles. I don't know exactly what they are.
So they're not like photons from the sun.
I don't know. I don't think so.
So then my assumption is that they have some type of gravitational wave maybe
Yeah.
associated with them, and that's what allows them.
Yeah,
to not necessarily
when they came
that
through the
not
smoke,
necessarily
it
that
kind of
has-
looks swirly.
It might not be that it has a negative versus positive, or it might be magnetic,
Right.
but it might be actually gravitational.
But if one is charged as it comes through, it can turn on a bit and flip it in a processor.
So you think they have a charge versus just
I think some of them.
gravitational
I was reading it, and there's some that get. It's not. I don't know if it's a charge, but there's something that happens as they collide, and if they collide enough and the right kind of cosmic ray hits, it can trigger that bit. That it's because the transistors now are so tiny.
okay?
It doesn't take much to turn that bit over in a
Right.
in a tiny chip.
but it seems like something would
So, like,
it would
to-
turn over just as easy if you like wiggled it. If
No,
it's that small.
no, because it has to turn off and on. It's like turning off and on a light bulb.
So it has to have power.
Yeah. So it's
So then
it's
it-
definitely like an electron.
Okay,
has
then it
to-
wasn't
yeah.
the magnetic wave. It
No.
was the.
It's
sort of
actually
electrical.
got to have some sort of electrical component to it. So what I want to show you, just for since we're talking about computers and how small things are, because we can't see these particles, at least with the naked eye. We can see, them zipping through fog and stuff like that. But it was last year, IBM released the world's smallest computer. Okay, so here's a picture of it. I have it up on our little tiny screen. I put up on.
I have something to talk about small after this too.
Oh,
Don't let me forget.
okay then.
Oh,
We're gonna go there. Testing.
dude, this is crazy. That's
So-
a computer.
That's actually not. That is 64 computers.
What?
So that is 64 motherboards, of which I believe each has 2 computers on it. World's smallest computer.
What
this was
qualifies
last
as
year.
a computer? Like, does it have to have a CPU?
This
does it have
so
to have a graphics card?
This is a pile of salt and 1 computer on it. Okay, pile of salt, 1 little computer, guys. It's smaller than the salt.
what?
So okay,
What?
hang on just a second.
I
Let me
got
let me
so
blow your
jazzed.
mind further. That has enough computing power in it to play the original Doom.
What?
Yes. That
Guys,
will-
we're looking at like literally smaller than a pinpoint, little black dot.
right. So, cosmic rays are tiny, and it affects things that are even smaller than that. That's the bit size that we're talking about it flipping. We're talking can't see this with naked eye kind of thing.
So, let's talk about cosmic rays a little bit more.
'Kay.
Though.
Let's do it. I
Because-
have no idea about them.
Yeah, I just feel like I need to know more.
Okay.
In the terms of if there must be a whole broad like non-radioactive rays then.
Oh, it's
Because like
that's what ultraviolet is. I mean, so there's violet, then there's ultraviolet, and then there's like gamma, X-rays. Like
right.
those are all spectrums of wave. But this is actual particle. It's not necessarily
but
just a
is
wave.
every wave full of particles?
I'm not Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We need science Mike
I
here.
know. Where's Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Where are you, Neil?
He was acquitted of a bunch of stuff this
I know. His glove didn't fit.
week. Glove don't fit.
You must have quit.
Ba-boom. Anyway, so another story as I'm looking up this cosmic ray thing, was Toyota apparently has a slew of things that happened with their cars, because a lot of cars now are drive-by-wire. Do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, so for years, your gas pedal, the throttle was just a cable, and it went straight
Okay.
up to the throttle.
And that's
body.
what Toyota did.
No. A lot of cars now are drive-by-wire, which means you hit that, and it's a variable switch that tells a computer to turn the throttle off.
That is drive-by-wire?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No,
So
yeah,
like-
it's not drive-by-cable. Drive-by-wire means it's software-driven.
Okay. What
So
makes you
you're-
think that it's like
Yeah,
cable?
so you are literally trusting a piece of software with the throttle to a car.
Right.
The brakes still, I think, are legally required, and so are the steering columns to be able to drive without power. So those can't be drive-by-wire, but a lot of stuff is. So this couple is driving down the freeway in North Carolina. They're driving to South Carolina. It's like a 3-hour trip.
Okay.
Wife's in the back, playing solitaire on her
Playing
computer.
solitaire.
And she looks up and she goes, "Honey, why are you driving so fast?" And he goes, "I can't stop."
Oh, no.
And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "I can't get the car to slow down." And
The brakes weren't working?
no, the brakes were working. The gas wasn't turning off. And it had a bit flip that kept the gas from releasing.
What? So, what'd they do? What happened?
He held the brakes down as long as he could and for 15 minutes was going 65, weaving in and out of traffic, trying to miss people because he couldn't stop.
Oh my god.
And they didn't get in an accident, as far as I know. And he eventually got it stopped by just hammering. He said, basically, I was standing on the brake.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
All the whole time I'm thinking, why didn't you just shut it off?
You might not be able to turn the key when you're going at a certain speed like that.
I'd start yanking wires.
Yeah, I don't think you could turn. Yeah. No, I don't know though. It's tough to be yanking wires when you're driving, going 65, dodging traffic.
I wonder if she kept playing solitaire.
At the end, she's like, solitaire.
She's like, ooh, ooh. I like it when they go.
Fill up my screen. Fill up my screen.
Yeah. Ooh. Remember he could set the edges to black, and you'd try to win and get the whole screen to go black.
No.
Okay, I guess I'm older than you.
I don't know. Maybe.
A cosmic ray, very briefly described, is a highly energetic atomic nucleus.
Oh, so it is actually a mass.
Or other particle traveling through space at a speed approaching that of light.
Gotcha. So something that's basically as small as it, well, almost as small as it comes. Okay, that's crazy. Right. That is really crazy.
So isn't that bananas? Also, that tiny computer blows my mind, and that was last year. But can you imagine, like, if that can play Doom? It's basically an early '90s computer.
That's crazy.
In a piece of salt.
Okay, let me tell you this crazy situation.
Yes.
There's this article that I was reading about, and it talks about how physicists have developed a quantum microphone.
That seems like a leap. We have Quantum Leap. Actually,
comedian Jordan.
If anyone's looking, I believe my dad still has a couple of copies of Quantum Leap on a book, like in paper.
I'd like one, maybe. I'd like one.
All right. I don't know if he does. It was last year's garage sale, so I might have just promised everyone something they could never have.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
You threw that out there, bro.
At first I thought I was going to get made fun of. You're like, dude, who would want that? And you're like, actually, I want that. I'm like, shoot.
That'd be awesome.
Now I have to deliver. Oh, look. Maybe.
That's hilarious.
It's got Scott Bakula on the front. Like, it's a book after the movie came out. It's like a book based on the movie.
Oh my gosh. But physicists have developed quantum microphones that they're so sensitive that it can measure individual particles of sound. So
called these phonons?
Yeah, these particles are called phonons. Eventually, they think it could lead to smaller and more kind of efficient quantum computers that operate by manipulating sound rather than light.
Why would that benefit things? Because light's so much quicker. Maybe more stable. I know that's one thing that they've had a hard time with quantum computers. Stable. So for those of you that don't know quantum computers, like we just talked about bits and how things store off-on. Quantum computers have an off-on state in a, what are they called? It's not a bit. A qubit. Is that what it is? I think it is a qubit. Anyway, it has infinite positions within off and on and off and on. And so all that to say, it just computes things much, much differently. But the problem they have now,
it doesn't give you like math answers.
No, it gives you statistical
answers. It gives you
like
percentages.
Yeah, like statistics of things or arrangements of large amounts of data. You can also do comparisons between qubits, like at distance. There's some cool things behind it, and it's for those of you that are like, okay, stop talking about nerd stuff. It's the kind of nerd stuff that
seems like magic.
It seems like magic, and the first country to really do well with it is going to have something really cool in their hands that is likened to like the technological version of having nuclear bombs today.
Or going from like the pre-industrial to the industrial revolution.
Right. Yeah. They get there first. That's a big deal. And so, not like to be all doom and gloom scary, it breaks a lot of cryptography that we rely on for things like credit cards and stuff like that today.
Oh yeah,
and it can
completely.
Break into things fast, potentially. That's about the extent of my knowledge, but I'm wondering if this has something to do with the stability of the processors, because right now they have to super cool them. They don't always stay stable and everything like IBM has them, and they're like they have to cool the qubits and all that, and the processors look a lot like the old computers that were stand-up punch cards back in the early 80s, 70s, 60s, like in that era. They look like they're that old,
right?
Having to run with liquid nitrogen and all that kind of stuff.
That's a good point.
And
That's
I
a
wonder,
good analogy.
And I wonder if this being able to control sound versus storing it that way, if that has something to do with it, like that would make them be able to create a quantum processor.
Maybe it's going like
stable.
Maybe it's going from like an 8-track to a cassette tape.
I don't understand where you're going with that. And
like the upgrade.
That's really
the upgrade of going from light to using wave in quantum computing. Like it's an upgrade in that class of technology.
In a lot of ways, I think it's. I don't even know how to make a comparison as to like, because it's for different uses, and that's the thing. It will replace a lot of things that our computers do today, but it won't replace everything. You would still have a standard computer in line with a quantum processor, much like we run a computer processor today. And
right.
A graphics chip.
I was talking about the upgrade in terms of for the quantum processor, for the quantum computing. It's an upgrade that they're using wavelengths instead of light, and so it's like we're getting more and more.
I think
in that.
it would have the potential to maybe make the processor more stable. I don't know, or they could maybe condense it more. Because the way they're doing it now is definitely not portable. It's giant, like a
whole room.
We have we have processors now with multiple cores and tons of threads of information. They have like one with one, and it's like as big as this table and cooled with liquid nitrogen and dipped in to keep it stable, and it only works for so long and all that kind of stuff. And it like is actually firing things down into the qubits. Like it's like tube amplifier days of computers at this point with quantum computing. And so I wonder if maybe this is something that does that, but who knows? Every time I get into quantum computing, I learn more and comprehend it less because it's so complex. Anyway, speaking of like things that have gotten older and better, there's just a few things that I saw this week that were hilarious, but a tweet that was there's this subreddit called White People Twitter, which is kind of a joke, but this guy says, I told an 18-year-old the other day that I used to get Netflix delivered to me in the mail, and I'm pretty sure he thought I was lying.
Isn't that crazy?
Because we're at the point now where people probably don't even know that, like, there are people that don't know that they used to ship DVDs.
Oh yeah,
and they could only have a certain amount out, and it was it was,
Yeah, I mean, also though, I'm really surprised. I gotta be honest with you, the way Redbox has not been gone bankrupt. Yeah, how is it?
I don't
around?
know, but
it's insane.
So I thought that too. Last year, I went to Redding, California, the place that had the big fires. For those of you who saw the news, the car fire, CARR, not CAR. Although it was started by a car, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
But side note, went down there, and I thought, what I like to do with Redbox, and this is if you guys want to have a lot of fun and you have a car that plays DVDs, is rent one where you start and as far away from your from your location as you possibly can, return that Redbox to just throw off the ecosystem. And so I did that. I rented one here near Salem and drove to Redding, California, and returned my Redbox there. Mm-hmm. Because I want to, you spread the DVDs around,
right.
You
just share it.
It keeps everything even, right?
Totally.
But I was trying to get another one for the ride back because I thought, ooh, I could rent one here and return it back when I get home. Mm-hmm. And there was somebody in there, I kid you not, like getting like 4 Redboxes. Like in there just for a day. I'm like, dude,
you go heavy on Redbox, bro.
That's like, you just got out like 8 hours at least of movies that you're expected to bring back in 24 hours. Like, what are you doing? Like,
are they all 24 hours?
I think you can keep them longer, but you got to pay for the next day. But what's the point if you're just going to like watch 1 or 2, get the 2 and then come back and,
that's a good point.
Not pay as much.
Dude.
They were also getting them in their pajamas in the middle of the day, so there was a lot of questions going on in my head.
Basically, that's just they gave up.
Mostly I waited.
That just means they've given up.
I waited 5 minutes
entire day
to return a Redbox.
For that day is just done.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? I give up for today. I'm going to wear my pajamas. I'm gonna go into Circle K. I'm gonna get myself.
No, this wasn't Circle K. This was a Safeway.
Oh, excuse me, Safeway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get myself some tostadas. Get myself some.
They had no food. They did not have food. They were purely there for the red box. One thing I do respect about the red box in Safeway is that it's indoors. Because I don't know if you've been to a McDonald's red box. If it's sunny, you can't see. If it's raining, you're miserable. If it's cold, you hate it.
That's a good point.
Or it's a billion degrees and standing next to that black screen and red box just absorbing heat next to you.
So basically, it's being kept alive by people that have probably really bad internet access.
Yeah, or they don't want to pay. I guess streaming a movie, if you're doing it legally, is like twice the amount of money.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is interesting. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. That's a trip.
Speaking of things that are changing, so like these are the other things that have.
I have a question for you though.
Yeah, go.
Question.
Because I have this and I can be reminded. So.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
How was going without media for you?
Oh, we haven't talked about that. Have we really been going for 51 minutes?
Hour and 4.
No, that's.
Oh, right. I gotcha. Yeah, 51, man.
I gotta be honest.
You used it?
No, I didn't. I did right before I went on my trip, but that was like a week. It was like 3 days over the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I posted like one thing that we needed on Sunday, and I left Instagram installed, but I didn't look at it. I was working on my house so much, it didn't
bug you.
No.
The thing that I missed the most out of all of it was using the Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, really?
I am addicted.
Are you
to
really?
Facebook Marketplace.
What about OfferUp?
I never use OfferUp. Ever.
Why not?
I don't know. I probably should.
You did, because that's how we got these chairs.
Oh, yeah. No, this was Craigslist.
Was it?
Yeah. So I'd use Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. It's basically like going garage selling, and you don't have to leave your house, bro. It's so nice.
What if Amazon garage saled for you?
But I'm a little addicted to it.
They're just like, hey, here's something right here. We'll ship it to you for $2. And
What if what?
Like if Amazon did garage selling, they just had people to go out to garage sales and took pictures of things that they just got for $0.25, and they're like, we'll sell it to you for $1, so you don't have to come down here.
Yeah.
Seems like it'd be good.
But you use OfferUp? What do you think about that?
I've used it to sell things. I haven't really gotten anything on there. I don't think. Yeah, I don't. They're all kind of seem the same, to me.
I don't know. It's so exciting. I feel like it's a little surprise every time I log on.
It's kind of a little interesting.
Find something new.
The people that are on there, some of them are. It can be hit and miss. I've gotten some nice people, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
and then some people just don't respond. You're like, this has been on for 8 months. There's no way this is still for sale.
Wait, on Craigslist or Facebook?
That would be OfferUp.
Oh, on OfferUp. Yeah, OfferUp. I don't feel like they check
They don't check them very often.
The messages that much when you're on OfferUp.
No. Yeah. I don't know, and it's just a whole rigmarole, like having to go talk to a person.
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
It stresses me out.
I get that.
My wife likes that. She thinks that's really fun. But yeah, I feel like there's something I was going to say. Oh, this is a business idea I had. If we're throwing out business ideas, let me throw this at you, okay? Actually, this business idea was for Amazon, but if they want to like buy my idea, that's cool because they have the infrastructure to do this. We don't. But what about if Amazon bought SkyMall? Okay. Are you with me so far?
All right.
They buy SkyMall.
Okay.
They allow you to use their Wi-Fi just to surf their SkyMall site. Okay?
Love it.
Because there's other websites that you can use their in-plane Wi-Fi just for those things.
Mm-hmm.
You can surf the Amazon SkyMall, and it knows what flight you're on. And you can be like, this is our special for today. And when you order it, it's in an Amazon Dropbox at the airport you're landing on.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that a good idea?
It's genius.
Yeah.
Would. But they also should be able to get people to want to use it or log on to it.
Mm-hmm.
They should be able to, you should be able to watch some Amazon Prime.
Well, the last flight I went on, which was Alaska, they had a whole database of movies you could watch for free through your phone.
Right, but if Amazon could get a monopoly and just only have...
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's Prime movies that are on there that would be on Amazon Prime. Yeah. Like, they're like today movies or ones that are coming out on DVD really soon that you could watch. But what happened that for me was what happens every time, and I just pass out. So did not watch it. I watched part of Chernobyl.
What did you think of Chernobyl?
I have now watched it 1.5 times.
Oh, really?
I think it's fascinating. Guys, if you haven't watched Chernobyl, I highly recommend it. It's
So
not for the faint of heart. But I did some reading on the validity of it.
Yeah.
And it is very true to the story.
Even though Putin denies it.
Yeah, well, yeah. So they also still only claim that 31 people died because of it.
That's crazy.
And by all counts, well over 4,000.
Wow.
So they still don't fess up to it, which, there's a couple of countries that have done things like that. They're like, World War II, what did we do? We didn't do anything. No, that didn't happen. And now Putin's like, no, that didn't happen. But the whole time, like in the real story, like they deny it right from the beginning. That couldn't happen. That didn't happen. It's like the giant equivalent to an ostrich sticking its head in the sand. Nope,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. If I don't see it,
I don't see it.
yeah, call in the next crew. Kill them too. Anyway, Chernobyl is really good. I watched part of that on the plane. But that's my business idea is Amazon.
How do
Sky
we
Mall.
got to get involved in that then?
And
What's that thing you got pulled up there?
This is so like talk about like changes, okay? So this was someone posted this on Reddit. It was on white people Twitter too. I don't know why I all of a sudden started getting those in my feed, but I think it was just actually I most time just look at trending stuff. It says, "Boomers, I heard she went to," looks around nervously and whispers, "therapy." Millennials and Gen Z, laughing my ass off, y'all. Guess what my therapist told me today?
Right. Like therapist is like the cool thing now.
No, well, it's not even the cool thing. It's just normal. Like
Mhm.
it's not a diss.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah, I have a hard time with that. I
In what way?
don't know. I have a hard time. Well, I have a hard time that people. Number one, I don't care if someone goes to therapy. If they want to go, they should go. If they need to go and they think they need to go, go. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I don't care. It's just it doesn't make me think less of somebody
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like, and in a lot of cases, I'm like, oh, I can respect you for that even more.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, maybe you're relying on that too much. Kind of like if you watch Parks and Rec when
Oh,
the
interesting.
Chris guy goes every day and then always calls his
Yeah.
therapist like 6 times a day.
That's a really good point.
So
Ooh,
like,
dang, that's a good thing to bring up.
so
love
like
that.
that much. Yeah, maybe a little obsessed with that. But people get that way with a lot of things. So
Totally.
anyway,
That's such a
I've
good
been thinking lately, because I can be argumentative and I still can be. I think both of us can be. No. But generally speaking, at least now that I wouldn't say matured, now that we're thinking about maturing,
Oh yeah.
we tend to be a little bit more open-minded towards someone and want to hear where they're coming from, even if it sounds crazy.
Okay, here's an interesting thought though. Are you or I more open to something that's a little bit outside of our, wavelength,
Yeah.
if it's more liberal or if it's more conservative? Do you think like we're more willing to open up to that new concept?
I don't honestly I can only speak for myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think to either one of them. I go into to each one of them with equal amounts of optimism and hesitancy,
That's interesting.
because I want to know. And I guess now I would say I used to only like really care about what my own thoughts were on a situation, versus now I'm like, even if I don't agree with you, I find this perspective at least fascinating.
Yeah.
Tell me why, what dots connected up to your perspective hitting that versus mine hitting mine, or someone else
Yeah.
hitting theirs. And
Yeah.
so then I'm like, okay, whatever. And
I
if it's not hurting someone, like if someone's perspective is, I think I should be allowed to kill people because I like to kill people, I have an issue with that. And I think that most of us would.
Right.
Your feelings don't matter then,
I think that
because it hurts someone else.
that's a really cool way of having that. I like that a lot, and I would aspire to do that. But I think the majority of the population would heavily lean one way or the other.
And I'm noticing that.
Heavily.
And I don't understand, like, like I said last week, some people would say this conversation is dangerous, and that's something I've been hearing a lot lately. Is people thinking that talking about things is dangerous.
Yep, like super liberal people are talking about how it's dangerous to even just talk about Jordan Peterson.
Yes, but then also you have that on the far right too of people, and whatever you want to call that. Like I don't consider myself hardcore on either side of those. Although I was saying this week to someone, I wish that they would draw the political spectrum as a circle. Because it is definitely not a linear line, because where the circle meets is at the radical ends of both the right and the left, and I don't think that they understand how closely linked they are.
That's really interesting.
And someone's probably yelling, someone's probably mad, whatever. It's just my perspective. Get over it. But it's bothersome, and it kind of is like, and I say that in humility because I used to be like that. I think my mindset used to be like that, and I've had to like really think that through. It doesn't mean that I don't have like morals for myself and for my kids and stuff that may differ from other people's.
But it's kind of like you're biased. A lot of people would have a biased confirmation.
Yeah. So like I care about other people, and if a moral is tied to what I would perceive as bettering their life, giving them a better quality of life, then I would encourage it, but I wouldn't want to push it so hard that I'd be like, if you don't do this, I don't accept you. Like, does that make sense?
Totally.
So it's kind of like seat belts. Didn't used to be a thing. We were talking about this today, actually. I remember when the seatbelt law changed to 16 years old. And if you were under 16, you had to wear one. And before that, you didn't. And then there was car seats. And now if you saw someone with a kid in their lap, you'd call the police and report them, because we all know it's wrong.
That's interesting.
And it's legislation. Legislation taught us that.
So interesting. So there's a what's it called?
I have no idea how we got to this place.
A sect of religion, like not Judaism, Jesuits or what is it? Anyways, basically they talk about how in different situations, morals and religious situations, opinions can change, and how like it's okay for that.
Well, I mean, it's like the Mormon Church buying Coke.
Right.
Caffeine was bad, now it's not.
Right.
And some would say, "Oh no, it's still bad." Like, okay, there's definitely a weird discrepancy there. Like, it's just maybe a poor example, but we do that. Like,
yeah,
it's just like the seatbelt thing. Like, we wouldn't have ever thought that before. I mean, I was telling my sister today, I asked her, I said, "Do you remember going to Grandma and Grandpa's and waking up in the back of the car on a mattress?" She said, "No, I don't." And I said, Mom and Dad would get us out of the bed and put us in the back of the old Suburban.
How old do you think she was at that time?
No, she was pretty young. She would have been like 3.
Okay.
I think I'm just total wild ass guess on the age there. But I remember that I wouldn't remember getting out of bed. My dad would have put us on a mattress in the back of our Suburban and just started driving. It was a 6.5 hour drive, 7 if you stopped to go to the bathroom and eat and stuff like that. And we would wake up like almost there.
Whoa.
In the back of the Suburban on a mattress. And it's just like, it wasn't, if you did that today, you get arrested.
No, you know what? I remember we went on a road trip. A couple times we used to drive to Colorado, see my grandparents. And my parents would just take out the middle seat in the van.
Area.
Yeah, and they made just, blanketed area in the middle seat of the van where normally it would go. The back seat was still there, but we could just like walk around and crawl and watch movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And we do that all the way to Colorado.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I can't believe we did that.
But now someone would call you in because it's morally wrong.
But here's a funny thing. So a van that size, it's not okay to do that. But you get a motorhome
or a
that's
bus.
maybe like 2 times. Well, we know on the bus you're not supposed to stand up.
True.
But in like a motorhome or an RV, people are okay to walk around and stuff. They're not have to be clicked in.
That's so weird. Huh.
But buses
or fifth wheels.
I guess like Greyhounds, you can get up and go to the bathroom, I think.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like, yeah.
I have no idea how we got there.
Yeah, I think it's all just been this like I think it's just these things that are on our minds. But in talking about like, I've realized like I have to be careful. We have to be careful testing normal outside of this place. Because some people have a hard time even having discussions about those things. They kind of get worked up. It's like, it's like if you bring up like climate change. We have this joke at work. After like 2 weeks of my coworker being gone, we jumped in a van to go somewhere, and she was driving, and somehow we had the middle seat out, just like you were talking about. So we were all of us in the back, and she decided to drive. We were only going a few blocks, and she looks in the rearview mirror as we leave the parking structure. And granted, we were going less than a mile, and she goes, "Hey, what do you guys think about climate change?" And we're like, "Whoa, interesting topic for 4 blocks away."
Can
but
you
it's like,
be like, how do you even?
It's like if you bring that topic up, some people will be like, people get really upset, and it's like, why are you so upset? Like,
Yeah,
it's not a
so
bad
dumb.
conversation to have. I don't know. Bit flips,
Bit flips,
technology.
baby. Bit flips. All
all
day air
scary.
day. All day air day. Do you want to do some shower thoughts?
Yeah, except I need my iPad back.
Here you
if
go.
we're gonna do that.
Boom.
What were you looking up?
That top picture was just a cute little kid. You should click
I
on
can
it.
look it up.
It's kind of funny.
It's the kids are
Oh.
acting stupid.
Here.
Oh my gosh!
Let me-
Is it just a picture?
Yeah, it's just a picture.
Okay.
Make it full screen.
This is.
Or can you?
It's a little kid stuck in concrete.
So like the parents had said.
It's a typical parent. Like
Uh-huh.
things like this are absolute reason why I'm not having a kid.
But basically, there's like a sidewalk, a new sidewalk that's just been poured, and the parent has just, flattened it with a 2x4.
When we just did this trip across the
and you've
country,
seen a picture of a little kid literally has taken like 6 steps
That's
in the
more
sidewalk.
than 6, man.
and
It's
just
one-
huge.
It's
Buddy.
got to have been that whole length, and the ones we can see are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 steps. When we were driving across the country, there was these scooters everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And in Boise, we got these scooters, and we were riding around at night. And coming back from this brew pub that we went to, or this like brewery, and we went down by the Capitol and got our pictures in there and stuff under the cool lights. And as we're coming back, like I cut into this street, and they had just oiled it. And it was like all of a sudden, it was like you could smell the tar, and it was like. And
Were
I was
you
like,
in like a motor scooter, or were you in like a
electric stand-up
Okay.
push scooter, like, and it was just like all of us hit it, and we're like, ah, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? It was like we were locked in to like.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to go back and look and see if we made lines in it the next day, but it was pretty dark when we hit it. Anyway, I feel like this kid.
It's their fault, man, for taking
Oh.
it down, for taking the signs
Um,
down.
Speaking of, as you're pulling up your shower thoughts, I was reading an interesting article this week too, where, speaking of climate change and all that, Texas of all states, wind power has overtaken coal power for the first time since the beginning of it.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I thought that was interesting.
That's really cool.
Anyway, shower thoughts.
Share that.
You can go first.
Okay, let's see here. Let me see which ones I had here. Okay. I've thought about this before too. Creating some type of technology around dreaming.
Yeah.
And so imagine if you were able to have the ability to dream together with other people, just like multiplayer dreams. So like multiplayer.
Do they do that in
player
Inception?
games. Yeah.
They
Basically, that's what
link
Inception
dreams.
is. Yeah.
Ooh.
But wouldn't that be like I could go to sleep and you and I could go on a safari hunting gorillas?
Okay, so I have a few thoughts on this.
That would be so dope.
I feel like this is a night where we pick apart shower thoughts.
Do
I'm
it.
just calling it now.
Do it.
That would take an incredible amount of trust. You remember Pacific Rim when they're like jacking in, like they're doing the mind meld to control the robots,
Right.
and they see each other's like deepest, darkest secrets
they?
and thoughts.
Do they?
Yes,
I don't remember that they saw all that.
because he like freaks out because he sees her getting scared of the monsters and stuff.
Oh, okay.
The kaiju.
Gotcha.
Look at me pulling those names out of the air.
Impressive.
Kaiju.
I think it's
Jaegers.
I think it's pronounced Kyuju, but
Sure.
yeah.
But anyway,
Super
I
close.
feel like that would take an incredible amount of trust.
Totally.
Because
But I
like
think
there have been people that
we could
I've
develop
heard
better
say like
technology
if you
where we
do
would
things wrong in your
need that.
dream, like that counts. It's like, I don't know.
No, definitely.
I don't have a lot of control over that stuff.
Definitely not.
Anyway, I think that would take an incredible amount of trust.
Yeah, but you could build technology that's
be
better
mind-melding.
than that. I mean,
If you dreamt in a world that was more controlled than just your blank mind that someone else is jumping into, that might be kind of scary from both ends.
that would be.
Okay. The biggest flex is using mobile data in your own home because the Wi-Fi is being slow.
So true.
Oh.
Actually, the biggest flex would be using biggest flex would be using data at your friend's house if they had Wi-Fi and you didn't need to.
You hate it.
Yeah, that's the
You're
biggest
like,
flex.
I don't trust your Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Bloop. I got my data.
I am currently in between homes and living at my parents', and they have very slow internet.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you that know internet numbers, we're talking like if the planets align and no bit flips are happening, 2 megabit.
That's insane.
I flex
That's insane.
all day long
That's insane.
and all night long to the point where I hit the little eye and say, forget this network.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Considering I did a speed test when we were trying to figure out the whole YouTube thing coming in here, and we were at like 350 both ways.
Megabytes.
Megabyte.
Yeah.
Megabit, not bytes. Megabit.
Megabit, yeah.
I don't have enough time to go into that discussion.
Bytes
But,
versus bits.
yeah.
Megabit.
Megabit. Shar thought.
Share that.
I'm just going to go because you're
A
not
little
good.
bit.
Cooking products are sold by saying that you can keep the cook. They can help you cook restaurant quality meals, but restaurants get you to come in by saying they have home style cooking.
That's so funny. That's so true. Did you know that butts are actually shoulders for the legs? Think about it. They really are. We just got really good at flexing our butt shoulders.
I feel like I can do way more with my shoulders than my butt.
I feel like I can, but like you can flex your butt easier than your
Than your shoulder?
deltoids.
I can do this
you can
and this and this. I cannot do any of that with my butt.
Hey, some people can twerk, some people can't. Okay.
This is more than I don't know. I have this independent like.
Okay, I'll do.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Give me another one. Give me another one.
Okay. Smoking kills you, but the actual act of smoking is a very healthy practice. Leave a stressful environment, go outside for 5 minutes, and take deep breaths.
So good. That broke it down perfectly.
I love it.
That's like, I feel like I should be on a poster.
Oh, wait, we should make a poster and put it in here next to Spaceman.
So people who died doing what they loved were simultaneously having the time of their life at the time of their death.
Oh my gosh. That's almost like that one last week where it was like, wah, wah.
I've had the time
If
of my
someone
life.
dies doing something crazy,
No,
you
I'm
say
dead.
they died doing what they love. But if someone dies to an overdose,
Right.
apparently it's not okay to say.
Apparently.
Oh, locksmiths are the most honest people. They can practically pick any lock, and yet they choose a low-paying job over theft.
That's hilarious. That's so good. It's kind of weird to think that people in year 2100 will look back on us just like we look back on people in 1900 or 1880.
Unless it gets too hot.
I know, unless it gets too hot.
Oh, okay. We interrupt these shower thoughts to bring you an Elon Musk thought / tweet from last week.
Ooh,
Which
what's
is
Elon up
this.
to?
He proposed a way to shorten the trip to Mars from, I think, 9 months or 8 months to 100 days. And that is
Which would be
with a
that's 3
nuclear
months.
drive. A nuclear reactor drive.
why haven't they already had that?
Well, probably because of things like Chernobyl and
But there's nuclear ships.
Yes, but they don't do this. They don't burn items and spew them out the backs of ships.
True.
They use steam and make electricity and stuff.
Maybe they're looking to use steam in space. A little steam propulsion.
Maybe. Did you know that nuclear submarines, they don't ever refuel them?
Right.
They last the life of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's bananas.
It's like 100 years or something.
Well, the ship, they usually only in service, I think, 30, but something like that, 25, 30. Maybe I could be completely wrong, too, but I that's the number I remember reading. Anyway, speaking of the military, a fighter pilot's drive home must be incredibly boring.
Well, that's the same thing as like a race car driver's drive home.
His could be fun. He's actually doing it, but can you imagine just like no traffic, da-da-da-da.
That's true.
Stuck in traffic.
That's true.
Ooh.
That's all I got, man. You got anything else?
I might have. Here's one I sent to a friend of ours this week, actually. Pistachios are little vegan clams.
I love them.
I do too.
Dad joke.
I could eat some.
Okay, what's your favorite flavor? Real quick, I need to know. What's your favorite flavor? Pistachio.
Sweet chili.
Sweet chili. Not mine, but they're good.
Not mine. What is yours?
Mine would have to be just salt and pepper.
Really?
Mm.
I like salt and pepper.
Salt
That's
and
like a
peppers.
good
Little
go-to.
Little salt and peppers.
They had a bunch of different flavors at Winco for a while in bulk
Mhm.
that were amazing. But I would say my favorite is sweet chili. Probably my least
chili pie.
like my least favorite would be these lemon ones I tried once. But of the standard flavors, my least favorite is just the
Plain.
raw roasted.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Like getting that in our recording.
Yeah, raw roasted would have to be just one step above the sweet one that your favorite. You're just one step above your favorite one. For
Oh,
me.
really?
Yeah.
You don't like sweet chili?
Nope.
Too spicy?
No, too sweet.
It's not that sweet.
It's far too sweet.
Whatever. On a clock, the minute hand and hour hand never overlap during the 11th hour. I read that and it bothered me more than it should.
Say that again.
On a clock, the minute hand and hour hand never overlap during the 11th hour. It's the only hour that they don't.
Why would it just be that one?
Because by the time it would overlap, it's changed times.
But why wouldn't that happen every hour?
It does. Like it overlap on
No.
the hour.
I thought you said only on the 11th hour.
Actually, my rebuttal to this was, on a 24-hour clock, they totally do. But then on the 24th hour, they don't.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude, that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. People might have a completely different opinion. Like, you guys are boring alone. On that note.
No way, dude. They freaking love this conversation.
It's true. They might. Maybe just Haley. Or
Annie.
just Brian.
No. Or maybe
Yeah.
just Mac.
Just Mac.
Yeah.
Mac's going.
Yeah. Maybe just Matt.
I don't know. Just start naming people.
Just see how many people's names do we know.
They're like, who is that person? It's
Maybe
we
just
made it up.
Shaniqua. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys are somebody who is out there that does listen to us and is like, I have something interesting to come on and talk about, give us a chat.
Give us a holla.
You probably could text me or Curtis.
We took a break from having a guest this week, guys, because we were so busy. We didn't really have the time to communicate and set that up this week. But in the coming weeks, we're gonna get some fresh new guests on that we're excited to introduce you to.
There's some irons in the fire, but if you have any subjects you would like to talk about, or you yourself think you are interesting and you want to figure out if we think you're interesting,
yes,
you know
you probably
where
should.
to contact us. Yeah.
Well, guys, give us a like on YouTube, give us a like on Facebook, Instagram. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like.
Yeah.
And
subscribe.
Subscribe.
Send us your rants.
Click that little bell on YouTube.
Comment more during, because we actually do watch for comments. But sometimes you guys comment a ton, and sometimes you guys ignore us. That's fine.
Commenting is...
Because we sit and talk and don't answer the questions we said that we're going to answer and forget what we asked. So,
Boom.
Episode 26.
Episode 26. We got some exciting ones coming up, guys. We're kind of just working on them now. But
now that we're getting settled in homes.
Now that we're getting much closer to settlement. And we appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all your input. Super fun talking with you. And this is Testing Normal. We're out.
Boop.